welcome to Projecteers. This is the current project we're working on. This is my 1995 or 4, I don't remember, Ford Probe. I built this car for the Gambler 500 last year, for the Utah Gambler 500. Basically, I pulled it out of a back lot where it had been abandoned. Put a fuel pump in it, it started up, so I got a title for it, registered it. Did a little bit of lift on it, put these bigger tires on it, they're about 29 inches tall. Did some CV axles on it, basic stuff, went around the Gambler and had the time of my life. The biggest problem I have with it is I did what I'll call a hammer wide body kit on it. So I took a big hammer, and you can see, I'll show you here in a minute, basically smashed out the fenders about 2 inches out and about 2 inches up so I could fit the tires. Shoved some little spring spacers in the coil springs to give you a little bit of lift just to try to fit them. They still rub terribly, especially with 2 guys in it and a bunch of gear that we had for the Gambler, spare tires, fluids. They rubbed every second, every bump, every turn they rubbed. If you're running the Gambler 500, here's the number 2 top things I'd recommend. Number 1, skid plate. Saved my bacon. If I wouldn't have had skid plate, I would have broken down like half the other cars with a smashed oil pan. What I did is found a take-off skid plate off some truck, drilled a couple holes, bolted it on there. Number 2, good tires. These are off a Jeep, so they're like a heavier ply, 6-ply tires or BFGs. A lot of pop tires out there. So if you're running the Gambler, keep that in mind. So it had a spoiler on it. I was using that to hold my gas cans on the back. Bad idea, ripped the spoiler off. It's in the back, we'll put that back on later. But this is the project. So now, if you want to see what their plans are here, as far as the Junkyard wide body goes.
All right, so Project Junkyard wide body. We're actually going to head to the junkyard and we're going to butcher this, a Nissan Titan. It's got a big fat fender to it, and we think with the body lines and stuff we can butcher this up and make some actual steel wide body panels to put on our probe. The front fenders obviously will be super easy because it's a handful of hardware, but the fender, the rear bed sides, we're actually going to have to hack off of this thing. So it should be a bit of an adventure, and we're hoping it works out.
What you got, Joe?
So we take it easy, and we cut it in 4 minutes. Bam! Look at that. That's going to be almost a bolt-on.
No, you're good. It's going to be sick is what it's going to be, Joe.
Look,
it's already there.
Dude,
like, it's halfway done at this point.
Look at this. It matches the freaking curve of the hood. Like...
Well, it's a Ford with a Mazda motor, so why not have a Nissan fender on it, right?
Yeah, that's good.
And look, dude, look, you leave that. Yeah. Look how cool that is.
That's the duct for your
Oh my gosh.
I told you.
That's sexy, I'm not gonna lie.
Very legit.
That's a big duct for my tire.
Yeah.
Or something.
Get some Dodge Charger headlights. No, I'm just kidding.
I like my pop-ups that don't pop. You leave them alone. Chop the little bottom off there.
Yeah.
Weldy weldy. Trimmy trimmy.
Oh no, you gotta leave that overhang. That's where it's at.
You gonna tuck them?
Yeah.
Just finished pulling fenders off the Titan. Got the bed sides off. Just cut the sheet metal off it. Pulled the front fenders off. We laid them on the probe. They look good. Now we gotta get the old probe inside and start doing some work on it. Okay, so here we are here with the probe. We got it into the garage so we can actually start working on it. Got the fenders, so we're gonna start on today. Hopefully get one side of this thing done. Start on the front, we'll see how far we get on the rear. But it's in the garage, it's ready to go, and we're ready to have some fun with it. Oh, and then we also have, you can see this or not. So grab these wheels, a little bit more offset to them, so when we put the wide fender on there, hopefully we're like 1.5 inches or so out wider than we currently are. Give us a little bit wider stance, go with our wider fender. So we're gonna test fit this, build some fenders, maybe do some bed sides on the back of it, and see how it goes from there. Let's show you the fenders we got.
We have our Titan bits here. the wing that needs to be reattached.
May have come off due to gas cans being strapped to it.
There's gonna be a considerable amount of nipping and tucking to get everything to align, but we're fairly confident that we can do this effectively. I don't know, we'll find out.
Here it is, the new wheel and tire compared to the rear of the old one. We got some considerable width to it. Hopefully that's enough for when we get the fender flares on there. Fender flares, the wide body. Call it the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be good. So we've got a negative, what did I say this was? A negative 10 offset on these wheels. And there's a 2-inch adapter in there somewhere. So we're a lot wider than the factory probe would have been. Considerably wider.
Almost screams Italian sports car.
Almost.